Hey everybody, what is going on? It is Thursday night, it's 8 o'clock, and you know what that means? It's time for another Get Off My Lawn podcast. And I got to tell you, it feels like we haven't done this in a couple weeks, probably because we missed last week. So if you missed us, rest assured, we missed you as well. We're going to talk about that though, because next week is going to throw another wrench in the works. The things keep happening on a Thursday. Next week is not only the fifth day of the fifth month, but it is the fifth year of my marriage. And so we celebrated Cinco de Marriage 5 years ago, and now we are going to go celebrate again on our anniversary. So next week, again, no podcast. Moving forward after that, it looks like most of the Thursdays should be pretty well clear, and we can get back to the regularly scheduled or the regular schedule, I should say, on Thursdays. But that's what's happening. So just so everybody knows, not to look for us again for 2 weeks, and then we'll go back to the normal every week. So, all right, let me do a couple things here, and we're going to get this pinned over here on the old Twitter. Let's see if I can do it without it making a lot of noise here. Go back to profile. That's what we needed. And all right, that's already, oh, that's the old one. Unpin. Then we're going to do the new one and repin. Hey, look at that. Live TV. This is the best time to do this. I can't do it until we go live, so I have to do it when you guys are watching. All right, we're going to bring in a couple regular, well-known faces here on the old panel. So first off, coming to us from the same undisclosed location as always. We don't know where it is. We just know that it's deep underground and probably could survive any kind of nuclear or EMP attack. But Pat is in the bunker tonight. Pat, how are you?
I am doing very good. Finally got done with some big projects outside of the bunker, of course. And, but no, I am doing good. I am doing good. I can't complain.
Awesome. All right. And then also coming to us from the capital city of Lincoln, Nebraska, our one of Lincoln's two most eligible bachelors and everyone's favorite tactical teacher. We've got Travis P11.
Man, how do I follow up with an introduction like that? I mean, that just automatically that just paves the road ahead of me, John. No, but thank you, man. I do appreciate it. It's going to be a great topic for tonight, especially just reflecting on the topic and what you were suggesting. You know, who are some of your heroes, two-way heroes? A lot of my heroes have really end up being flawed. So it's one of those things where, you know, like don't meet your heroes in real life. But I don't know, man. I've been let down by so many, but luckily I still have some out there. So I'm looking forward to the topic. It's going to be fun.
Well, and yeah, I think that's one of the things we're going to talk about too, is how, you know, what actually it means to be a hero. Because that doesn't, obviously it doesn't mean that somebody's perfect. But we'll talk about, you know, I don't just want to know who your heroes are. Mm-hmm. As we go through this, and I don't think Defense Dad is going to make it tonight. He said he was going to be getting home later than normal because he had a deal going on with Defense Daughter. So if he joins us, it's going to be late, if at all. So it could just be the three of us. And if anybody wants to jump in here, reach out in the comments and let us know. And you know what? I might throw that link into the comments for a short time, and we'll see if anybody wants to hop in here. But yeah, we'll just kind of see what's going on here and kind of go from there. But I don't just want to hear about who they are, because what good does that do? I want to know why. I want to know why you look up to that person, whether they're real or fictitious or whatever is the case. And we'll kind of go from there as the night goes and just see what happens here. So before we do that, we want to, let's see who's out there in the chat already. If you're watching live, if you're on Twitter, I can't see those comments, but you can sure put the comments yet on the video here in Twitter. And I think it will tell me that I've got some new notifications, and we'll see. I can't put them on screen, but I can at least go and find them and read them if you're watching on the Twitter side. If you're on YouTube, please get those comments in there. We can put those right up on the screen. And you know what, just like this, We do have over here in the producer's chair, my beautiful bride is here tonight. I know a lot of you only show up because of her. And so she's here, and she's saying welcome everyone. So I can put the comments right up there on the old screen just like that. And then, you know what, we'll just go ahead and put that one on the screen for a second and cut Travis off a little bit. So get those comments in. We want to know what you have to say and interact with you a little bit. And then also, please like this episode. Drop out of the live chat for a second. If you're on your phone, hit like and then pop back in the chat and hit the share button. Share this with everybody and let them know. And here's what would really be great is if you are listening on the audio only version and you're not live, it's at least a week out if you're listening on one of the podcast platforms, but please like it, please share it wherever you're listening. Share that link, get everybody else listening, and then invite them to come join us live as well so that they can interact. And it's way better than a normal podcast and better than TV and better than radio. So all right, so who's out there tonight? We've got, of course, Sandhill Sweetheart is in the house with us. We've got Travis out there and in here, Pat out there and in here. Gizzard Gary is out there. Who else? G23. Scott79 is out there. DJ Play Nice is in the hizzy. Irish Wristwatcher is here. Am I missing anybody? If I missed you, it's because you didn't comment enough. So get out there and get your name on the list so we can thank you later for joining us as well. But we just want to know what you have to say. So before we jump in, a couple things that we always want to mention. Of course, we are a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network, and you can get this and a whole lot of other great pro-freedom, pro-gun, pro-2A shows out there. So you can do that at sdrn.us. And if that wasn't clear, Sierra Delta Romeo November Uniform Sierra. You can find all kinds of great shows, Self-Defense Radio Network. So go check that out as well. And then we wouldn't be able to go on YouTube and the Twitter. And here in a few more weeks, we'll be back on Facebook Live. So can't wait for that. The jail sentence is over, but I'm still on, how do I want to say it? I'm on parole. So 30-day jail sentence and then 30 more days can't go live. And which means on any of my pages, not just my personal profile. So that's slowly but surely coming to an end. And we'll go live on Facebook just as quick as we can. But for now, you'll have to catch it after the fact as well on the old Book of the Faces. But we're able to go out on Twitter and we're able to go out on YouTube. And we couldn't do it without our sponsors. So tonight's show is brought to you by Decoding Firearms, an easy-to-read guide on general gun safety and use. Decoding Firearms is a comprehensive guide to aid new shooters and veterans alike. While Pat holds it up there, it's also in the top right corner of your screen if you're watching. To aid new shooters and veterans alike to get up to speed on the safe use of guns. With over 115 illustrations and 266 pages of content, this book is very comprehensive. If you're interested in learning more about decoding firearms, you can visit johnpetrolino.com/decoding-firearms, which is on the screen. Decoding Firearms, again, if you're not watching, then you need to be. You can watch us on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Spotify. Decoding Firearms is available for sale on Amazon as a paperback or a full-color Kindle version. Be sure to pick up a few copies for your friends and family members that want to get into the shooting world. Decoding Firearms, get yours today. And I'm working on a deal with John to be able to get a bulk discount, and I can offer those in with my beginners firearm classes once I get those underway. So that'll be even better. They won't be free. They will be maybe built into the cost. We'll see how that goes. I don't want to have to charge sales tax, so I'll give the book away, but we'll have to make up for it elsewhere. But at least it will be there. It'll be an option. Might maybe do two prices. We'll see. I don't know yet. All up in the air. Don't have the books yet. Still coming. More to come. Stay tuned. Stay tuned, kids. So, all right. So let's bring everybody back up big on the old screen here. And so, yeah, we're going to jump in a little bit and we'll kind of break this up into a few sections just to kind of round out the night here. And I don't know how long this will take. Maybe it'll be a short night. Maybe it'll take forever. I don't know. But Pat, we're going to start with you, and I kind of want to start off with fictional heroes. So comic books, movies, Saturday morning cartoons, regular, novels. Who were your heroes, both when you were growing up as a kid, and if they've changed, or you've added a few, or whatever as an adult? I mean, you can still have heroes that aren't real people as a grown up. So not real people, but who were your heroes, the fictional heroes growing up?
Well, I think probably the rubber stamp one would probably be Superman,
Okay.
just because he stood up for justice and the right and the will of the people.
Truth, justice, and the American way, right?
So that ain't nothing wrong with that. If you can't get behind that, I don't know what you can.
Right.
But probably Superman, and this is a tough one because there's a lot of fiction. There's some fictional characters out there that have.
It's okay if you got a long list. I mean, we don't necessarily have to dig into every one of them, but
okay. Well, G.I. Joe.
Okay.
Because he was
a
specific hero,
a real American hero, or a marketing campaign,
or just the generic G.I. Joe, like he was back when he come out in the 60s,
with the kung fu grip,
right? or did you watch the cartoon or read the comics and have a specific member of the Joe team that you liked more than the rest?
Come on, dude. Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, every kid loved those.
Yeah, they were all pretty good. I can't complain.
Okay.
And another one that's fictional, a cartoon that back in my day, anyway, was the SWAT Cats on the Cartoon Network. And they rode around in probably my favorite plane in my heart, the F-14 Tomcat. And they were going around and shooting bad guys out of the air and everything. It was a great cartoon. So yeah, probably between a couple of those. I mean, I could ramble on for quite a while, but I'll just name a couple of those.
We could really turn this into a geek chat, I think, if without trying, if we wanted to let it get that way, which maybe it will. We'll see.
Yes, but just a couple. I'll just share.
Sure. No, that's awesome. So what was it about the SWAT Cats besides they had a cool plane, or was that all that really drew you to them?
No, actually, it was kind of like G.I. Joe's met John Wayne.
Okay.
Because basically they would take to the air whenever any bad guy had a helicopter or an airplane that robbed a bank or took chemicals from a factory to make mutants or something, and they would be lickety-split straight out of their junkyard, that they put this plane together and just looked like a bad mofo F-14 Tomcat with the third engine in the middle so they could go speed of heat. Look it up on the internet. It's a real thing. And yeah, those guys are really cool. So
awesome.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm not going to geek out too much because I could go way down the rabbit hole.
Take a stroll down memory lane. Picture, if you will, young Pat and his twin brother sitting on the couch on Saturday morning. Between the two of them, having a bowl big enough, a popcorn bowl full of Rice Krispies, 2 spoons.
No, we had to have our separate ones because we'd wind up punching each other because we didn't have ours. So.
Oh, he didn't like the good stuff, huh?
No, we both liked the same thing, but if we had to share a bowl, it was nuclear war.
Nice. All right. Got to keep them separated. All right, Travis. We'll drop over to you and just put you on the hot seat now. Fictional characters, again, it can be cartoons or movies, books, whatever you can think of. So who were your heroes growing up, and have they changed? Have you added new ones as an adult?
Yeah, I've gotten away from the fictitious characters, and now there's people that I look up to as just genuinely good people that do good things. So Superman and Batman when I was a kid, all the movies, the comic books, the toys, and Pat and I, there must be an age difference between us because I don't remember SWAT Cats. In
I
'93,
don't either.
I was probably chasing the ladies and not that third engine for the Tomcat. So I don't know how I missed that one. It sounds like a cool show, but they look pretty sweet. I looked them up. So also from the old anime series way back in the day, Robotech, Roy Fokker was one of my heroes. I think I cried when he got killed. Optimus Prime when he died in Transformers the movie. Spoiler alert. That Optimus was always the one I look up to. He was always my favorite Transformer. G.I. Joe, a real American hero. Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow. I had every one of their versions of the action figures.
Nice.
And my friends and I used to argue over who was going to be Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow when we play Army.
Yeah.
And then real life. Well, not real. Okay, so humans in fictitious form. Sorry, my dog's over here whining. Chuck Norris, man, I love Chuck Norris movies. Lone Wolf McQuade, that was a classic. The missing in action movies, I used to just think those were so cool. I played a lot of Army as a kid. I lived in an apartment complex, so there was a bunch of kids there, and we had trees out back, so we'd go back and like recreate like Rambo scenes, and then Rambo. Obviously, Rambo. How could you not like Rambo? First Blood Part 2. Saw it when I was like 7. Dad took me to go see it in the theater. I don't know how we turned out normal because we got into R-rated movies with a permission slip from mom. Predator, RoboCop. Oh, RoboCop was another one. Now like I've definitely changed. One of my earliest heroes I remember from high school, which was one of the biggest letdowns in my life, was Lance Armstrong. And
sure.
I just thought that he was just being picked on from the foreign media and the foreign cyclist organization, because here I see this guy who nearly died from cancer, came back and was just epically awesome. And his explanation and the doctor's explanation is he had this massive like stamina and recovery that normal people didn't have, and it was all performance enhancing drugs.
Well, and
after
we'll
that,
get
I
into
just totally,
we'll get into real people here in a second.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else now. Now I will have to say that my heroes now, I mean, now that I'm a gun guy, right? Two-way guy. Anybody in Hollywood that's pro-gun and is genuine about it, that person gets my respect. Whether it's like Keanu Reeves or who else was in there? Kurt Russell. Just anybody in Hollywood that's like pro-gun. Yeah, those are definitely my heroes now because they stand out. So
I don't remember now. I know that Keanu trained with what's his name, Taron Butler.
There's Taron Tactical, yeah.
And I mean, yeah, he trained on live fire with, learned how to do actual 3-gun and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, he's wicked on 3-gun. Yeah.
But is Keanu actually pro-gun, or was that just
training for the movies?
The realistic, the good reloads and the tactical, gun fu and all the kind of stuff that John Wick does. I mean, does anybody out in the chat, can you tell me, is Keanu Reeves pro-gun? Or
I'm not sure if he is or not.
Are they just tools to make a movie? The way that you can learn how to drive a race car for a racing movie, that doesn't mean that you care about racing. And so I'd really be curious to know. Some of those guys, and again, we're getting into real people here. Some of those people are adamantly pro-gun, and which is, it's weird how that works. You don't see them very often on the big screen anymore. They're usually doing some independent thing or some TV show for American Heroes channel or whatnot. But and as far as myself, I mean, I've got a laundry list of characters who, growing up, I mean, in literature, I got to say that Louis L'Amour helped shape who I am as a man, probably as much as any other single male did. Not single as in marital status, but just any other individual male role model. Louis L'Amour and all of his characters, I mean, they all have the same kind. I know they're kind of cookie cutter, and if you read one, you've pretty much read most of them. But at the same time, I mean, those stories were written about a time when, men had to be men, and so did some of the women had to take over some of the traditional male roles too. But they all had to be tough. They all had to be strong in order to survive, what they were going through in the Old West or the frontier, whatever it was. And so, that's where I learned kind of how to be a man, how to treat people with respect and whatnot. As far as fictional characters, and course, the little kid, I was huge into He-Man and Transformers, G.I. Joe. Ninja Turtles were a big one for me growing up. So, but I mean, they all kind of had the same thing. It was the classic good guys fight bad guys. Bad guys are always trying to cause harm and be selfish and greedy, and the good guys were always benevolent, altruistic. So, it doesn't matter whether it's cats or turtles or soldiers or whoever it is. It's pretty much the same story, even if it's robots that turn into semi trucks. I mean, same basic story, and that's why it's so popular, because we all want to know that there is well, first of all, they all acknowledge that there's evil in the world, right? And then they all also, we want to know, if there's evil in the world, there's also good that's willing to step up and fight that evil. So I think that's why it's so attractive, and why there are so many different hero stories, right? Even though the pattern pretty well fits the same mold time in and time out, other than individual stories. And then, of course, they had to get diversity worked in there with the different backstories between which heroes were orphans and which heroes had money, and which heroes were mutants, and how they got their powers. And there's tons of different stories, origin stories now, but still the same thing. The good ones stand up against the evil ones, because if they don't do it, who will? And who could? Right? Because the evil seems to be so overpowering. So that's, I think, why it's such an attractive thing to have those. And that's why we'll always have heroes. And I don't mean that we will always have heroes, but that's why we'll always have the hero genre, be it superheroes or whatever. So I'm going to go first on this next one, just because I want to, and you can think what you want. If you know me well enough, you're going to know that I'm not BSing, and I'm not saying this for any reason other than the fact that it's 100% true. Because when it comes to real people, I've had a few heroes over the years. When my mom died, at her prayer service, I didn't really know what I was going to say, but that's kind of what I led off with. Growing up, I had a bunch of heroes as a little kid. None of them were real, but my mom was my huge hero. Seeing her fight cancer, and even when her body was wearing out, her spirit never did. And that was huge to me, knowing that, no matter how weak you get, as long as there's fight, if you've got the spirit, the willingness to fight, you keep fighting. And something I'll never forget is, she told me she gives herself 15 minutes a day, and she's gone now. But one time she told me, before she was gone, she had a stage 4 ovarian cancer. She said she gives herself 15 minutes a day when she wakes up to wallow in self-pity. And then she gets up and starts her day, and that's it. She would only feel sorry for herself for 15 minutes out of the day, and that was it. And I'll never forget that, because that was such great advice. And then seeing my own bride, Sandhill Sweetheart, keep a smile on her face, and even when she didn't want to, seeing her face the things that she faced with her cancer diagnosis, actually, hardest thing I've ever had to do was the night that she told me that she didn't want all of her hair to fall out on its own. So she handed me clippers and said, we're going to do this on my terms. And let me tell you, if you've, first of all, I'd never cut anybody's hair but mine. And I've done it on myself a time or two in the mirror, but cutting somebody else's hair that normally has hair halfway down her back. And the reason that I was doing it's hard enough to do it on somebody else for the first time. It's way harder when you can't see because your eyeballs are all wet. That was a hard night. That was emotional. She was strong for me that night. The least I could do was be strong for her. Yeah, we're a team. She's my hero. She really is. Seeing the things that she dealt with, that her body went through, and she never lost her hope. She never lost her spirit, and she never let herself get down. I think we know which one of us is the tougher, which one of us is the stronger, because we know He didn't give that to me. I don't know if I could have handled it the same way. He gave it to the strong one. So all I can do is try to be there and be supportive. So as far as real life heroes, I mean, I was raised by one and I'm married to one, and I can't think of anybody else that even can hold a candle to that. Everyone who's ever laced up the boots and put on the uniform to defend our country, huge heroes. For the most part, still those who put on the badge. I know that there's individuals that are terrible cops, but for the most part, I still support law enforcement and firefighters, first responders. Sure, those are great heroes too. But honestly, yeah, none of them can hold a candle to the people I've had in my personal life. So that's me. Defense Dad, will give you a chance to catch back up here. We talked earlier about who our heroes were as a kid and even now as far as fictional heroes go. But then I led off with real life people. And they can be people you know, people you don't, but who are your heroes in real life. So we'll work our way back around to Defense Dad. So Pat, we'll go back over to you. Real life, who are your heroes?
Well, in real life, I would probably have to put my cousin Mike. We raced together for years and years. He came down with, just to springboard off what you said there, John, he came down with lymph node cancer, and had to have the whole port put in, go with chemo and everything. When he knew he was going to be losing his hair, he's basically what we call, between me and my brother, we call him the third brother, because we raced ever since he was 15 and we were 16, burning up circle tracks all the way around from South Dakota to Nebraska to Kansas to Iowa. So we all shaved our heads when we knew he was going to be losing his hair, in just to form a solidarity. And
Sure.
We had a lot of good races. We've had a lot of good times with him, and thankfully today he is cancer free for 3 years now.
Ring the bell.
It is freaking epic. Yeah, there for a little while. It was a little touch and go. It was a little touch and go, but I'll tell you what. Between the stuff that we taught him, his dad, my dad, the grandpas, and everybody that rallied around him, he learned a lot. We learned a lot about character and how that can define somebody. And there was days that he was hurting. I mean, just like, and I'm sure just like Olivia was hurting, and anybody else that has gone through cancer and everything. And this really hits really close to home, because I've had several people in my life go through cancer, but he was probably one of the toughest SOBs going through that. And yeah, he keeps soldiering on to this day, and thank God he's still around, because I still count him as my third brother. So he's one of mine. And the second one, I'll have to bounce off of somebody out here, just from my dirt track racing days. Dale Earnhardt.
Okay.
Just because that guy, he started off small and built himself up, just kept going. And he didn't care who was in his road. He needed to make it to the top. And by God, that's where he got to. Now, there's a lot of people that like him. There's a lot of people that don't like him. But at the same time, I admire his tenacity, getting to where he got to, and I know there's a lot of people who will either agree with me or disagree with me, but that guy had a lot of drive, and that guy was smart, a lot of business sense, and yeah. So that's just a couple of the heroes. I'll turn it over.
Awesome. All right. So before we move over to Travis and Defense Dad, a couple comments out here. First of all, Blitz, I think he's talking to me when I was talking about Sandhill's Sweetheart. It says that's a great hero. Plus, she puts up with me daily. Which, yes, that's not hero status. That should qualify her for sainthood. Honestly, Gizzard says his dad was always his real hero growing up anyway, but as he got to be an adult and watch him go through chemo after being diagnosed with leukemia, he knew what bravery really was. And then Clint out there says his buddy Kenny, who endured 70 of the 72-day siege of Khe Sanh, which was from the Vietnam War. And so, yeah, some pretty good heroes being listed out there. I don't think we've missed anybody else other than somebody had said, well, Kingpin says Patriot in the Dark is one of his heroes. And I don't think he's actually talking tongue in cheek. I think he's serious about that. Missed a few others here. The Intimidator, the most badass race car driver ever. And I'm not sure. Did I miss anybody else? Gizzard also said Popeye because he could eat a can of spinach and whoop anybody. So, all right. I don't think I missed any of the other comments. So now that we're caught up, we will go back through. Blitz has another one, a real answer, or serious one this time. His late mother, who pulled him close by the collar and said, "We can't control everything that happens to us, but we can control how we react to it and deal with it." And that may be some of the best advice I've ever heard too. So moms are good for that, aren't they? Moms are pretty smart people as a rule. So Travis, we will pop down to you and get your take. I know you had mentioned a few athletes already, or one in particular, but who are your heroes who are real life people, whether that you know them or not? They don't have to be people in your personal life.
No, I can talk about it. My two dads. So let me say, my dad.
Slow down, Stacy Keenan.
My father. I'm the product of a teenage pregnancy, and my parents had me. My mom was fairly young. I mean, I think my mom was like 17. My dad was 18, and so I look today at how many single parent families we have and how that affects kids. And my dad, he did the grown up thing, found out mom was pregnant and got a job and stayed in that job for 40 years and gave up his life to make sure that we had food on the table and a nice place to live in. And, we were taken care of. So he basically just, I never did ask my dad what he wanted to do, if he ever wanted to do anything different with his life. Because if you don't know, my dad worked at the Cargill beef packing plant in Schuyler, Nebraska for 40 years. And it has gone through various names, Land O'Lakes and Excel and stuff. And so he did that for 40 years, 45 years before he retired. And then my other hero is going to be my stepdad, who's been with my mom for over 20 years. And he's been a great guy. My mom's had some health issues, and he's always been there by her side, always supports her. He's a hardworking guy, too, and he treats her with respect. And I've never really had to deal with any major family issues. And so for that, I've been thankful because, they raised me the right way and taught me how to be a gentleman about things and how to do things the right way. So that right there is probably one of the reasons why I turned out okay. I didn't have any brothers or sisters, and my parents, they worked a lot, and just, my parents just raising me to do the right thing is probably what kept me out of trouble, because I had a lot of free time as a kid. Nobody else around the house, is just me. So that's got to say those two right there. And it seems like anybody that I've ever really looked up to elsewhere, anybody famous, it's like they've been a flawed individual in some way, shape, or form, in the worst way. Somebody that I always thought was just great, and oh man, they got caught for this, or this person was awesome, or they did this to somebody else. It's like, is everybody fallen essentially? Is everybody got some sort of major flaw? And so maybe I got to accept that about people, but I feel like I've been let down so many times that I just try to look for genuinely good people that do good things and treat them around them well, people of integrity. And there's not a lot of people out there like that. No. So, that's what I got to say.
All righty. Yeah. So Defense Dad will give you the two-part question. and give you the floor here. So first off, again, fictional characters. Who are your heroes, both growing up and maybe now if they've changed or you've added a few as an adult, because it's okay to have fictional heroes as an adult still. And then who are the heroes that are real live people in your life, or not necessarily in your life?
Fictional heroes.
And first of all, hi.
Hola.
Hola.
Yeah, fictional character. I grew up, Superman, that kind of stuff. I mean, I always liked that kind of stuff, but I didn't really consider them my heroes. Both when I was young and now, even though he's gone, my grandparents, my grandpa, my grandma, and my mom, those are my heroes. I had without getting too involved, but I had an uninvolved dad. He was a degenerate gambler. Best thing my mom ever did was get us away from him when I was 5. He lost our house, he lost our business, he lost our cars, and my grandparents moved us back to, home from the western part of the state. We lived in Gearing. They literally bought a duplex so that we would have a place to live. And they sold a rental house, bought a duplex, so we'd have a place to live, and they still could have their other renters live there if they wanted to. They strictly did that to get us out of a bad situation. My grandpa took over the dad role growing up. Anything I know about working on cars or that kind of working on houses, anything working with tools came from him. He was a World War II vet, Purple Heart. I wouldn't say, I don't know, I want to say winner because you don't really win a Purple Heart, but he was a Purple Heart recipient. He led a mining award. Yeah, I was looking for the right term. He earned
that.
Yeah, he led a mine clearing unit in World War II.
Oh wow!
Lost a chunk of his leg because of it. He and my grandma raised 3 girls after the war. I mean, he was my best man in my wedding. It was the one time he only ever wore a tuxedo in his entire life. I was a pallbearer at his funeral. He was my hero. And my mom still is. She raised two kids on her own, and she didn't get remarried until I was a sophomore in high school. And she still continues to amaze me. She was just here for a visit. So those have always have been and always will be my heroes.
Cool. Very awesome. All right. So now we're going to go backwards back around the horn. So Defense Dad, we'll start with you. In your mind, I kind of want to talk a little bit about what does it mean to be a hero? Because Travis has brought up a couple times tonight of how a lot of times we find out our heroes are flawed. We put them up on such a pedestal that we don't think they can do anything wrong. And then we find out that, sometimes they're just as human or more so than anybody else. So I kind of want to know, just in your own words, what does it mean to be a hero? What does that mean to you?
I don't think I'm anybody's hero, but
what does hero mean to you?
Hero can mean a lot of things, but to me, in my general life, it means being a person that inspires someone to be better, to not accept mediocrity, just constantly being a role model and pushing, whether it's your friends or loved ones, to be better and not accept complacency. That's about as simple as I can describe it.
Okay. All righty. Travis, in your words, what does it mean to be a hero? Not necessarily you yourself, but just in general. What does it take to be a hero? What's it mean?
It's just somebody, it's kind of like the same lines as being a good leader, somebody who's able to put, what's most important, the good of everybody else before themselves. I guess that's part of it, is just somebody who's willing to sacrifice, or somebody who just tries to set a good example and just tries to be a good person. I mean, I really look up to that. So, I mean, there's so many different grades of hero. Anything from, like you said, boots on the ground, people in the military, first responders, EMTs, firefighters. I mean, there's so many different definitions of it. So, just anybody who's willing to just kind of sacrifice for the cause,
Okay.
For the greater good. Yeah.
Alrighty. And Pat, what's it mean to you for someone to be a hero?
Well, if you don't mind, if you can give me a little bit of space on this one, I'm ready to talk on this.
Okay.
A hero means anybody that can mean something with some fortitude, or I'll put it this way. Like about 10 years ago, I married a woman that had divorced, and she had a 9-month-old baby boy. She came back to Nebraska, and I had probably one of the most life-changing experiences in my life. First time that I ever got called Daddy. I wasn't anything special. I worked. I provided for them. Got married. This little kid had never had a dad that really put any effort or time into him at all. He was just sucked into computer games, into the great abyss of electronics and everything. And I know we're on this, so I'm not counting this. But anyway, he was about 9 months old and had never called his own dad Daddy. I was racing at the time. We worked on cars together. I put him up on the fenders and stuff, and he would help me do all sorts of stuff. And he called me his hero. And I said, no, I said, I'm not your hero. And he goes, no, you're my hero. In that weird 9-month-old, the 1-year-month-old, he just said, you're my hero. And I said, okay, well, whatever. You know, just kind of took it off. I was like, okay, well, I can kind of understand him a little bit. But one of the coolest things is when he said that, and I understood him. I was a hero to that kid because I was actually around for him. I actually wanted him to have him at my side. And that meant more to me than anything else in the world, and that made me feel like a hero. Because his own dad wouldn't spend time with him or anything, and that just... Sorry. And he was the best little guy that anybody could ever have, and I've got to put a little backstory on this.
Very cool.
I tried typing it into the chat, but there's no way I can word this.
Yeah, nope, that's okay.
There's the first time that anybody else is ever going to hear this.
Very cool.
He died when he was 1.5 years. He called me Dad for the first time when he was about 10 to 11 months old, and I had to tell him, I said, no, I said, I'm not your dad. And I did that for about a month. And he said, like, no, you're my dad. And I said, no, I said, I'm not your dad. And he says, Dad. And I said, no. Finally, about a month, he wore me down. He knew me better than I knew myself. And he said, Dad. And I said, yes. I said, I'm your dad. because I was way more of a dad or a hero to him than anybody else. And I do not hold myself at hero status by any freaking means of the imagination, any stretch at all. But for the limited time that I got to know that guy before he died, he was with me and we did everything together, working on race cars or whether we were checking cows or anything. I'm a hero. And that's something you can't take lightly.
Mm-mm.
You cannot take that lightly. I mean, when a little kid like that gets abandoned and then actually finds somebody that he can attach to, boy, that puts a lot of weight on your shoulders. But I'm a way better father and husband now for having that little boy in my life calling me a hero and a dad.
Way cool, man.
I won't go into the particulars how he died or anything because that's very close knit between.
Nope, that's all right. That's all right. Cool story. Really, really cool. I like that. So and thanks for sharing that with us. I appreciate that. I'm not crying. You're crying. So
it's damn hard.
No, it's totally fine.
We're trying not to.
Yeah, no kidding.
Damn it, Pat.
and for me, I mean, you know,
something I need to change my mood right now.
Well, I'll just go next. You know, it's pretty much the same thing as what most everybody said, but yeah, I mean, for me, the notion of, you know, what makes up a hero, it's somebody that's willing to make the hard choice, right? They've got the integrity, which is what integrity means, making the hard choice when there's nobody to see you make it, right? Still making the right decision. Somebody with integrity, somebody who's willing to make maybe the ultimate sacrifice, who's willing to put others first. Yeah, those are all characteristics of a hero. So let me ask this now, and we'll stop going around the horn. We'll just kind of roundtable it, and Pat can jump back in here when he's at a point to do that. But so can somebody be a hero and still be flawed? Or can somebody be flawed and still be a hero? Because I mean, we see a lot of we see so many instances, right, where, you know, your Lance Armstrong comes out that, well, he was actually chemically enhanced by more than just chemotherapy. You know, I mean, just time after time after time, we learn things about people who it tarnishes their reputation. Can they still be a hero? Can they be a hero, and those other flaws, does that detract from what they did also? You know, let's talk about the guys that held their ground at the, you know, the siege in Benghazi. A few of those fellas did give up their lives, and quite a few more of them survived that night and have told the story, you know, countless times. They collaborated into a book, which was made into a movie. Let's say that it comes out later that you know, one of them ends up, I don't have any idea what, and for the record, I don't believe that any of those guys could. I think their character, their integrity is greater than this. But, you know, just hypothetically speaking, let's say that Chris Peranto, who Sandhill Sweetheart and I got to meet, you know, we met Tonto. Let's say he comes out later and plans a bank robbery and gets busted in the middle of a bank heist. You know, does that in any way take away from his heroism in Benghazi? What do you guys think about that?
You know, man, nobody's perfect and everybody has their flaws. I guess it really, for me, it really comes down to, you know, were they trying to hurt somebody else? Did anybody else get hurt because of their actions? You know, if they make a stupid decision and do something that gets them arrested or in trouble, I guess it kind of depends on what. I know that sounds bad, but
Sure.
it'd be a difference if it's a hero that I have that comes out to be a pedophile versus somebody who gets a DWI. Okay, now that's just as dangerous, driving drunk. I understand that. Or I mean, you know, or somebody who just, you know, you always hear about like you know, people getting, you know, busted for gun, you know, violations or whatnot, and they're good people. They might be an athlete or star, but they did this or did that or said this or said that and got arrested for assault. I mean, it just, I guess everybody has their problems and everybody makes their mistakes. To me, it kind of depends on what it was and did that, you know, is that tarnish the person that they really claim to be in the end, you know?
I mean, yeah, you and I are Husker fans, and back in the 90s when the
Yeah.
teams were really good, it seems like every national title came with a commemorative ring and a court date for domestic assault, right?
Yeah, it's like we just seem to kind of look the other way,
Everybody on the team
you
gets a
know,
ring
and it,
and gets
you know, that
busted
was
for
rampant in a
domestic
lot of
abuse.
other schools too, you know, it's, you know.
So yeah, but I mean, does it take away from the fact that, you know, they were on that championship team? Does it tarnish that victory? For some people, I think maybe it does.
Yeah.
For others, not so much. I mean, you know, it's I'm not saying that there's a right or a wrong, or that there's a right answer or a wrong answer to the question. I just want people to think about that a little bit. You know, it doesn't matter who your hero is. If you think they're perfect, I've got news for you. If they weren't the Son of God himself and sent to die for your sins, then they're not perfect. And if Jesus Christ is a great hero, don't get me wrong. We should all aspire to be more like him. None of us can get there, but it doesn't matter who your hero is. It doesn't matter if your hero is Travis P11. I don't know of any, but I'm sure Travis has flaws. You know, I mean, there's going to be people who, again, I don't know any, but there's probably people that don't like Travis for one reason or another. You know, and again, that's so subjective. There are people who, you know, in Travis's professional life, who have no idea that he's on podcasts and makes videos and shoots guns and stuff. And if they ever learned that, they might consider that to be a huge character flaw. You know, I mean, it's so interesting. So we'll let everybody chew on that. And if anybody wants to, you know, readdress it, we sure can. So let's switch gears a little bit now. And I know that a lot of you out there maybe aren't quite as plugged into the Second Amendment advocacy as I am, and maybe some of the other people here on the panel. So we're going to lump everybody together, the gun world and the Second Amendment world, and just talk about some heroes, past and present again. I mean, and I'll lead this off again, but you know, obviously, if you're an American and John Moses Browning isn't one of your heroes, if you're a gun person, then there's something wrong with you, right? I mean, he designed so many great firearms that are still in common use today, and most of them have never even been improved upon. And so, you know, the only exception I can think of would be maybe the Browning High Power, where he had to get around his own patents because he, you know, Colt held the patent for the 1911, so he had to design, you know, go back and build a better mousetrap for FN. But so that's where they got away from the captive link on the recoil system and went to what every gun today that I can think of with the tilt barrel has gone to, you know, the little notch and the I can't even think of it now, the little piece in the frame, the block, that the barrel hooks into, that so it unlocks from the slide. I mean, you know, John Moses Browning, huge hero in the gun world, along with several others. As far as Second Amendment advocacy goes, I mean, if it wasn't for, honestly, Travis, if it wasn't for you, and I've said this before, I wouldn't have a podcast. And I wouldn't have known you if it wasn't for Matt, Never Enough Ammo, and I wouldn't have known him or who he was if it wasn't for Yankee Marshall. And that all came about because of I was looking at gun review videos on YouTube and found other stuff besides review videos. So it's been a long, winding road, but that's why we're all here tonight. Is, you know, you guys are some of my heroes. You know, the people who consistently show up and and put the time in to fight for our rights. People like Chris Chang or Diana Muller who go to Congress in U.S. Congress and testify before Senate committees on our rights. Folks like that. I mean, great heroes to have. And so, anybody else you want to throw anybody out there as far as in the gun world or the 2A world who are your heroes personally? And out there in the chat too, we've got a few being mentioned. G23 says Mass Ayub, again John Moses Browning, Mikhail Kalashnikov, Gaston Glock. Some great designers there.
Shane, did you have any you want to mention, or you got any you want to throw out there?
Not really. I mean, I'm newer to this than you guys are. I don't really have any gun world heroes. I grew up my heroes more growing up were in the car world. John Force, Big Daddy Don Garlitz, those guys. So I don't know as much of the history on that kind of stuff as you guys do. So I can't really speak much to it. I don't necessarily. He might not like me saying this, but Justin, who actually owns Nebraska Shooters, he's a bit of a hero to me because hang on, get out. He opens up his shooting school on Fridays during the summertime to people who don't have any experience shooting. Doesn't charge them a dime. Lets them come out and take lessons, teaching drills, that sort of stuff. And he just does it because he's an all-around good guy and he wants to get more people involved in 2A. So he's kind of a local hero to me because he got me really started and interested in. Didn't make me feel like an idiot when I first time went out there, shot for free, and I got to shoot with the Shriners professional shooter competitive shooting league. So
cool,
good local guy.
Very awesome. Travis, you might have a few, sounds like.
Yeah, I want to kind of throw this one back at what you just said about me. Thank you. G-Webs for me, I started listening to his podcast like 7 years ago in the afternoon after we bought our house. We bought it over Christmas vacation, and I was doing work in it, and I put these podcasts on, and they just started talking about firearms and the history of firearms, and definitely G-Webs. I'm gonna, and then also just in terms of Pro 2A, if you watch G-Webs' channel, I mean, there's so much 2A information that he puts out there, whether it's profiles on people or laws or rules, that he just lives and breathes the Second Amendment. And so I got to give G-Webs a shout out for that. Also Matt from Never Enough Ammo, because he was a huge channel that let me go on to his show. Night Strike with Tuesday with his hit or miss podcast. He let
Tuesday
me
nights
on
at 9
his
o'clock.
show. Absolutely, man. Well, 8 o'clock Central Time. But it's those guys were the first ones to kind of pull me. And I was watching all these gun videos like everybody, like Hickok 45 and Nothing Fancy and James Yeager. I mean, I started watching all these kids, the algorithms throwing all these big channels at you and stuff. And then those guys said, "Hey, why don't you come on our podcast?" And I did. And then after doing it for so many months, I was talking to Night Strike. I'm like, let's do a podcast, man. I want to do one. I'm ready to do one. This looks like it's a lot of fun. And so I took the god awful time slot of 8 a.m. on Saturday mornings and rolled with it. So yeah.
And
so
the rest is history.
The rest is history, but that's all it took, man. And then just listening to those shows like Daily Gun Show. And then also I think it's called the New Watch podcast now with Tony and Jimmy. Those guys, I listen to them. Early Watch, yeah. And I think they call it the New Watch podcast, but they've changed the name of it. But those guys, I mean, just how welcome and friendly they were, to let me be on their show. Well, I wasn't on their shows, but just to get in the circles with them and have them show up on my shows and stuff. It's really, really cool community that I got into. So yeah.
Well, and I think too about, just the people that have been gracious enough to come on, this show, which I always joke is the best show that no one's watching, because every week we go out live to tens of people, which is not even true, because it's been a long time since we broke 20 at a time viewers. Right now we're sitting on 16 currently viewing. And I know part of that's because of Facebook not being an option for now, and it's going to come back, but that's why I always ask everybody to share it. But I mean, we're a tiny little podcast, but we've got such huge names that are friends. Cheryl Todd and Rob Pincus, Chris Chang comes in. If he's available, he's never turned me down. John Petrolino, our sponsor, the author of tonight's, sponsor, the Decoding Firearms, and John Crump.
Trish, man, Trish is awesome.
Yeah.
One of our own,
Yeah, Trish Harold, who, again, if she's available, she's never turned me down to be on the podcast. And so many people, nobody's ever been a jerk and said, no, I'm not coming on your show. It's a stupid little show. Paul Lathrop has introduced me to so many people that I've gotten to know through him, and who have introduced me to more people, Amanda Suffolcool and Rob Morse and a lot of people on the Polite Society podcast. So just having, they started off as contacts, and now, I've met several of them in person, and hope to meet even more in person, as time goes on. Never Enough Ammo really influenced me early as a podcast host. Chad Prather really influenced me as a show host. Not so much podcast. His is, you can't really call it a podcast. It's an actual show, but you need to check out the Chad Prather show if you haven't seen it. And just how he does his stuff, huge influences on me. Tony Simon, again, great advice. One of the best bits of life advice I've ever heard is one that he can tell you who first said it to him, but he's made it popular because he's repeated it so much. Don't talk about it, be about it. Tony Simon from Diversity Shoot, if you know who that is. The Second Is for Everyone. Great guy and cool guy. These are all people who, again, I've met some of these people who I don't know if they're necessarily my heroes, but they're definitely folks that I look up to. And if there's a definition of someone who I look up to them, even if they're not necessarily my hero, I don't know, maybe it's kind of a blurry line for me. But they're definitely influences and have been huge, huge assets in growing this as much as we have, and growing our reach, just on the social media. And so, again, I've met so many cool people doing this, and the list just continues to grow. And I think eventually, I keep praying that God makes it explode, but I keep trying to stay humble and tell him, your time, not mine. But it'd be nice if his time would be sooner than later. So yeah, there's just so many people that influence me, and I couldn't have done this without all those people influencing me and seeing how people do it and taking bits and pieces from everybody else and turning it into my show. So I just appreciate, Travis and everybody else that's influenced it. And again, I know I already said she's my hero, but I couldn't do this without the support of my bride, because we had a time when I first got into YouTube stuff where all I did was go on people's shows and join panels and stuff. And she kind of got lost by the wayside, to where I started to make her feel like being online was more important than she was to me. And that's definitely not true. So that's why you don't see me on all those shows anymore, because I had to make a decision. And well, there was no decision to make. I just had to prove that what I said was true. So we do Thursday nights. Occasionally I'll hop on something on a Tuesday night like we used to with, Ghost has a show and Night Strike. Every now and then I'll shock the crap out of Night Strike and pop in, because he's still nice enough to give me a link every week. Pop in on the Caliber Corner sometimes now again. But for the most part, I've got a lot of people that have influenced me. So, do you guys have, besides folks that we've mentioned? I mean, Travis mentioned G Webs and Matt and a few others, but out there in the chat, those of you that do videos and especially if you do live stuff, who's influencing you? Defense Dad, I saw what you put in the chat, but surely there's other people besides Travis and me that have kind of drug you into doing this. So who are some of the people that have influenced you and you've looked up to?
As far as YouTube stuff?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. For this part.
Honestly, Jesus. Drawing a blank. He's in Iowa. Red beard.
Honest Outlaw
Honest
Reviews.
Outlaw. I watch him all the time. I just couldn't think of it. Yeah.
He's pretty cool, man.
I know
like his style.
I know who your daughter's hero is on YouTube.
Yeah.
Look, if it brings people into a community, we got to just look past it. I mean, that's fine.
Again, we can talk about flaws. Some people have flaws.
I like Honest Outlaw's approach to it. I mean, he's no BS. He just does what he does, and he makes it entertaining and gives you information. So, of the big YouTubers, he's probably the one that influenced me the most. Yeah, that's about it.
All right. Pat, you've been kind of quiet there, just kind of hanging out, but anybody else who's influenced you as far as making the videos on YouTube or anything like that, or in the gun world even? We just kind of skipped you for that.
Yeah, not a problem. Had to readjust myself.
No problem.
But no, actually, the whole thing that got me started was because of you. And I know I've said this several times before on your channel, but when you started the whole petition and everything, what was it, 2-3 years ago? When you did the damn it, I can't remember. It's been 2-3 years ago. For the Nebraska legislation. Damn it, now I can't remember the whole thing. Damn it, you brought me.
I never did a petition though, so I'm kind of at a loss as to what you're
meaning. No, you signed your name to.
Was it for the rally stuff that we did 3 years ago? Going to the rallies?
It was. That's what it was. That's what it was. Basically, a call to arms, short sense, not actual call to arms, but
call to action.
It was John that actually got me started into all this. I saw a fellow Nebraskan doing all this stuff, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I said, I should probably get on top of that because I like guns. I don't want to see our gun rights disappear. And I said, yeah, this is definitely something that I need to get joined up on, and I definitely need to join the fight on. So, yeah, I can definitely blame John for that, which is a good thing.
All right, now
it's a damn good thing because
enough of that. We didn't come here to just kiss my butt, so enough about me. Well, I do want to mention out there in the chat, G-Webs is in the house, so I know that we were saying crap about him earlier, but he's here, so here he comes. He's here now, so no more talking about him. Hopefully he's laughing at that because G-Webs knows me well enough to know that if I got something to say, I'm only ever going to say it behind. I mean, no, not going to say it behind his back.
G-Webs was late because he was out shooting 9mm. Doesn't want to admit it to people.
Oh, that could be it too. And I guarantee that wasn't on film because he would never record such a thing. A few other people, and I mean, we're just kind of listing. These are folks that are, friends, even if I've never met them face to face. I have met G-Webs face to face and shaken his hand. Kingpin out there says that Rich White's on his list. He's been in his home and family treated him excellent, which is awesome. Again, and it's cool as time goes on when we get together for some of these events. That's why, even though I can't make it down to Thunder on the Prairie, we're coming right afterwards, and we're going to get down there in time for supper that night because there's folks that are going to be there, Pat included, who I want to meet face to face for the first time, and a few others that are coming in from out of state, and so does my bride. She wants to meet these folks too. And we've made so many, not just connections, honest friends, people that I know that if I'm in New Jersey, if I'm in Massachusetts, if I'm in Kansas, just about anyway, if I'm in Arizona, I know that there are places that I can go and people will welcome us into their home and call us friends, you know, and I'm gaining more of those people all the time. California, Texas, you know, all over the place. We've got friends and acquaintances, and online and real life now both. Excuse me. And as time goes on, you know, hopefully that list just keeps growing. That not only the people that we know through our computer screens and our phone screens, but we get to meet them face to face and hang out. And I can tell you, I have yet to meet anybody who I know through this camera in my computer screen who's any different when the camera's off. And that's, again, I've said this many times, but the gun people, the Second Amendment people, well, especially the Second Amendment people, some of the gun folks, I think maybe play a character, especially some of those bigger channels. I don't know. And that's neither here nor there. But for the most part, you can kind of tell by watching the videos who's real, who's not. And everybody that I've met is the same, whether they're making a video or not. If anybody's, you know, they're going live or not, they're recording or not, same person, not a character, not an online persona. Nothing's made up. That's really them. And I know I appreciate that. I try to bring that here. You guys sometimes see my bad side as I get off on a tangent. You sometimes see me get upset and go off on something. That's me. That happens. Ask my wife. Happens way more often than probably both parts, the tangent and the getting mad, happens way more often than it should. So, oh look, I've got a place to somebody welcome me in Oregon too. Very, very cool. So, so you know what? I think it's about time. We're gonna wrap stuff up. If anybody has anything else you want to throw out there, we'll give you a chance to do it. But I think we're about gonna call it a night. So, and before we do, Travis or Shane, you guys can fight over who's gonna take over. But I do want you guys to tell us a little bit about Thunder on the Prairie. So, real quick, let me just do this. And again, I want to mention that tonight we're brought to you live on Twitter and YouTube, and in a few more weeks, Facebook, by Decoding Firearms, an easy to read guide on general gun safety and use. Decoding Firearms is a comprehensive guide to aid new shooters and veterans alike to get up to speed on the safe use of guns. With over 115 illustrations and 266 pages of content, this book is very comprehensive. If you're interested in learning more about decoding firearms, you can visit johnpetrolino.com/decoding-firearms. Look at that. There's another Vanna White in the house. There's two of you, and I've got it right here. I can even hold up my own copy.
It's a good book, man. I mean, even if you think you know everything about guns, you don't. So, yeah.
So it's for sale on Amazon as a paperback, which everybody's holding up, or there's a full color version on Kindle with not black and white pics, full color pictures. And there's a lot of pictures in here, so you don't have to guess about what anything's called or really how stuff works. Be sure to pick up a few copies for your friends and family who want to get into the shooting world. Decoding Firearms, get yours today. So get this over here. And we've got a super Pat. Thank you. Pat throws up a super chat there, $10 in the old thank you fund there. So we appreciate that. And you know what? I sometimes forget to ask people for money, but if you want to help support us, you can go to patreon.com/sandhillsmedia and help us grow. And as we do, then we get more cool stuff, better sound equipment, and all kinds of fun stuff like that. So eventually we may even add in, depending on what the funding does, may get some better stuff to do, some great interviews and things like that. So we really appreciate all you guys helping support us. So real quick, we'll let everybody go back through and anything you wanted to say, go ahead and do so, along with any final thoughts. And then I also want you to list where people can find you besides right here on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock Central Time, which, as we all know, is the only time zone that matters. So, Defense Dad, you were late to the party, so we'll shame you and make you go first tonight.
Yeah, sorry I was late. I was actually in the chat, in the side chat. I couldn't get my microphone and computer hooked with the new. I can't talk tonight.
Don't worry about it. Neither can I ever.
I was having computer issues. Computer issues.
That's a whole different doctor.
Yes, it is. I think it was fun discussion.
Might step lightly on that one, Shane.
Yeah, we're not going
get
there.
The camera to work. I couldn't get the microphone to work. Stupid new laptop. Anyway, because the last time we had storms, they fried my old one. You mentioned Thunder on the Prairie. So that is coming up June 4th. We have, as of right now, there's a total about 15 people signed up. I think I checked yesterday. It's just going to be a nice excuse for a bunch of us, people with gun channels, to get together and meet each other in person, shoot, do some collaboration videos. We have Travis has some of the prizes right over there, and I have some of the prizes back over here that will be given out at the event. A few things coming yet, and you can still sign up. The only deadline you've missed is, if you still want to go, is some of the stuff we had to sign up for some of the factory reps. And like Travis has been telling people, you don't necessarily have to have a gun channel to come. It's $25 for the registration. We're supplying some ammo. You'll want to bring some of your own as well. But if you don't have a gun channel, just understand that people are going to be shooting and filming. So it's not like it's just going to be a free for all range day. You might have to wait in line for some of the stuff.
So you definitely have to supply your own ammo if you shoot some weird dumb caliber like 40, though. Is that right?
I don't think we can help you there. I've got one box of it, and that's it.
Right. So anybody,
yeah.
I've
got more. Okay, I've got more 450 Bushmaster than I have 40, and I hate to say that, but that's the truth.
Any of you weirdos that think 40 caliber is superior, G-Webs. That was a shot at G. For those of you that know me, I could care less what you shoot. G-Webs loves 40, and I love giving him crap, and he knows that. So
I got a box of 10 millimeter I can bring with. If somebody needs that, just let me know. I've got one box of 40, one box of 30-06.
Well, let's see. 40 was developed for the people that weren't tough enough to handle 10. Right?
10 millimeter short, right? Is that what it is? 10
millimeter short. No,
40 super carry is 10 millimeters short. I can't remember. So 40 super carry.
Wow.
40 super carry. It's like the little guy that wants to fight you on the playground. That's 40 right there. The little short fat kid that thinks he can take you out.
All right, hold on. Before
right across the bow.
Before we move on here, these are stacking up, and then
the 10 millimeter linebacker just puts him down. Sit down.
I want to thank everybody. So, real quick here, you guys are fast making this the most lucrative episode we've ever had in the super chat.
We start making comical voices. People let's just make it into a food chat while we're at it. Just go for
well, before I run out of time here, I want to call attention to all of these super chats. So Chris from the 740 threw out another super chat. Gary threw out another super chat. Chris, I met on Caliber Corner here a few weeks ago, actually, wasn't it? When we were talking about the Glocks.
Pretty cool,
man. And G23 threw out $10 as well. So we love you guys, all of you. Really, really appreciate it. So, all right. I think DJ is laughing at us, laughing at G-Webs. So I don't even know if G's still out there. If he is, he's not saying anything. So, which means he's probably coming up with some super doozy zinger that he's going to get in at the last second, right before we close, so that I won't have anything to come back with. Because he's wily like that. So all right, we will move over to Travis now. So any closing thoughts for you, sir? And then where can people find you?
No, I just think it's a good topic, and I think it really it's good, especially to not just look at the superstars and the people that we looked up to as kids, but then who are some of the heroes in the 2A community, because there's a lot of people. They're not going to get a lot of public recognition just because of the coverage that we don't get for what we do. And I say I mean anybody that works in the 2A community that tries to promote, safe and responsible firearm ownership. Otherwise, just check me out, Travis P11. Just do a Google search on that. You'll find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, guntube.org, Gunstreamer, HugeTube. I'm all over the place. So that's it, man. Appreciate the invite. Good topic, good discussion, and yeah, it was definitely worthwhile. So thanks, man.
Absolutely, you betcha. All right, Pat, we'll move up to you up there in the bunker, down there, down in the bunker. I confused myself. Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
Yes, you have slightly. If you look at me, you can go cross-eyed. No, sorry, I haven't made many videos lately. I've been very, very, very busy between calving, spraying, and getting ready for spring planting and all that stuff. So I haven't made any videos, but you can check me out on Pat in the Bunker. I'm the only guy out there at Pat in a Bunker. Trust me, I checked it out. So you can check all my videos out there. So yeah, hopefully once things slow down a little bit, I can finally get the review done on the M&P Sport 2 AR and get that one concluded. So yeah, you can check me out there. Thanks for having me on tonight, and go check out all of these guys.
and everybody who's out there in the chat as well. Make sure you check out their stuff.
Yep, exactly.
All right. We are going, speaking of everybody out there in the chat, if you were making comments, then we've got you on record. So we want to say, if I lean close to the mic and I whisper it, do I sound as creepy as the boob in chief in the White House?
Yes.
I'm about to take this headset off, dude. It's kind of like.
All right. Well, let me go back to normal voice then.
So help me God. I'm out of here.
Those of you that were contributing out there in the live chat, thank you very much. So we had Travis P11, Pat in a Bunker, it just dawned on me when you said that. It's official. You are now Pat in a Bunker for real. And people can find you under that. So I like that.
I told you I was going to get it changed.
It took you a year.
I know. Ladies, if a man says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. There's no need to pester him about it every other year, okay?
Exactly.
All right. So Travis, Pat, Gizzard Gary was out there, G23, Scott 79, DJ Play Nice, Irish Wristwatcher, Kingpin, Clint Taurus, Blitz, Vanessa Kitty, Chris from the 740, Jeff Moeller. What's up, Jeff? I saw you out there. Mike, Defense Dad, and G Webs. So again, if we missed you, then that's because you didn't talk enough. If you didn't hear your name, it's because you didn't talk at all. And if you are watching this on the replay, try and join us during the live 8 o'clock Central Time, Thursday nights. Again, not next week. It's our anniversary. We're not going to, I'm sorry, we love you guys, but we're going to spend some time just to ourselves. Go out and have a nice supper, and we won't be back in time. So you guys are important, but we are importanter to each other. But after that, we'll be back on Thursdays like normal, 8 o'clock Central Time, which, of course, as I said, is the only time zone that matters. Anybody who says otherwise lives in a different one. And so that'll be that. Let me give the book back before I forget to give it back. She gets mad if I don't give her notebook back. Because then I lose it. So, all right. I think that's everything I needed to say. What the heck just happened here? I just saw that comment. If you're not watching on the screen, then never mind. Fake news. I independently fact checked this, and it is false.
No, it was awful. My hair melted. It was
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Still not true. Blitz wants spicy 45 gap. If anybody, real quick, bonus points. No actual prizes awarded. Bonus points before we shut this down. I'll just give mad props to the first one of you in the comments. Besides Blitz, who can tell me what 45 gap stands for? So yes, Sandhill Sweetheart
it's a clothing store.
We'll see you. And yeah, is there a 45 baby gap?
45 baby gap. There is. It's 30 super carriage.
That one, the T2 hex armor piercing ceramic tracers.
I'm just making stupid. We're making up stupid calibers right now in the chat. We're just thinking up the dumbest stuff.
Oh,
like a Torx hex head, the stupid screw size nobody ever has a wrench for. You know? Yeah.
Okay. So. Travis, I did not know this. Here's your Spanish lesson for the night, kids. A fun fact, the word esposa in Spanish means both handcuffs and wife. I was not aware of that. I'm not going to comment on it because the lady sitting off to my left, your right, off screen, has access to me when I'm asleep and access to my food. So that's a terrible thing. It's not funny. I don't know who would laugh at that.
It's Spanish.
I don't know who would laugh at that. It's not funny. It's not funny, is it, honey? That's I'm appalled. Travis, shame on you.
Hey, I didn't write the language. I just teach it. Okay, don't put this back on me. All right. You think I asked for this? You think I want to have to explain this to people? No, but I do. So
all right. So
we'll talk about the origin of a barasada later.
Long story short, next week, no show because I'm going to celebrate the fact that this woman has decided to stay married to me for another year. That makes 5 in a row. It's our 5th anniversary on 5/5. It's not Cinco de Mayo. It is Cinco de Marriage. And so we'll see you in 2 weeks. We love you guys. God bless you. Make sure you like this. Make sure you share it. Tell everybody that this is the best show that they're not watching. They should change that because we're not changing a thing. It's time to go. Get off my lawn.